The buzz around Pittsburgh has been growing louder, and if you listen closely between the echoes of past glory and future ambition, there's a rumor that feels too heavy to ignore. The Steelers, a franchise that lives and breathes physical football, are once again being linked to a move that screams identity, toughness, and long-term vision. The name circulating through locker room whispers, radio chatter, and late-night YouTube debates is Tevin Jenkins, a lineman whose reputation alone already paints the picture of a human wall. This is not being treated like an official announcement, but more like a feeling, a sense that something big is aligning behind the scenes. When fans talk about protecting the quarterback, they're not just talking about schemes or play calling, they're talking about bodies, power, and presence. And Jenkins brings all of that in a way that instantly sparks imagination. The idea floating around is that Pittsburgh wants to re-establish dominance in the trenches, to remind the league that everything starts up front. This possible reinforcement feels like a statement move, the kind that tells opponents they will not have an easy afternoon. Even as a rumor, it carries weight because it aligns too perfectly with what the Steelers have always valued: strength, grit, and an offensive line that does not blink. If this speculation turns into reality, the ripple effect could be massive, and that is what makes this conversation so fascinating for fans and analysts alike. Tevin Jenkins is not just another big body. He is viewed as a tone setter, a lineman who plays with an edge that can change the personality of an entire unit. The whispers suggest that Pittsburgh sees him as a cornerstone, someone who could help stabilize protection and bring back a sense of calm to the pocket. When a quarterback feels secure, everything changes from confidence to decision-making, and that is the unspoken dream behind this rumor. Steelers fans have long debated whether protection or skill positions should be the priority, and this possible move feels like a clear answer without saying a word. Jenkins represents trust in fundamentals, belief in old-school football values, and a willingness to invest where games are truly won. The speculation grows because insiders hint that the coaching staff loves his physical style and his willingness to battle on every snap. There's an energy to this rumor, a sense that if it happens, it will not just be a transaction, but a shift in attitude. The Steelers have always thrived when they impose their will, and Jenkins feels like a piece built for exactly that purpose. What really fuels this rumor is how perfectly Jenkins seems to fit the Steelers' culture, almost as if he was designed for it. Stories circulate about his work ethic, his toughness through adversity, and the way he embraces contact rather than avoids it. In Pittsburgh, those traits are not just appreciated, they are demanded. The speculation suggests that the front office sees him as a stabilizing force, someone who could anchor the line and allow younger players to grow without being overwhelmed. There is talk that his presence alone could simplify game plans, giving coaches more freedom to call aggressive plays without constantly worrying about breakdowns up front. This is the kind of impact that does not always show up in highlights, but is felt deeply over the course of a season. Fans imagine a cleaner pocket, fewer hurried throws, and an offense that can finally breathe. The rumor mill also hints at leadership, at Jenkins becoming a voice in the huddle that commands respect through action rather than words. In a league obsessed with speed and flash, this potential move feels refreshingly brutal and honest. It is football stripped down to its core, and that is why the speculation resonates so strongly with the Steelers faithful. As the conversation continues to swirl, some observers believe this rumor reflects a deeper philosophical shift, or perhaps a return to roots that were never truly abandoned. The Steelers have always been at their best when they control the line of scrimmage, and adding someone like Jenkins would be a loud reminder of that belief. There is speculation that the organization wants to send a message not just internally, but to the rest of the league, that Pittsburgh intends to be physically imposing again. Jenkins is often described as relentless, a player who finishes blocks and plays with visible anger, and that style has a way of rubbing off on teammates. The idea is that his presence could elevate everyone around him, creating a collective toughness that opponents dread. Fans picture long drives sustained by patience and power, wearing down defenses snap after snap. Even without confirmation, the rumor feels believable because it aligns with the team's history and current needs. The The Steelers are not known for flashy headlines, but for smart, identity-driven moves. Jenkins, in this speculative context, feels less like a gamble and more like a calculated reinforcement, the kind that quietly builds a foundation for sustained success. There is also an emotional layer to this rumor that cannot be ignored, especially among a fan base that values loyalty and grit. Tevin Jenkins has battled through challenges in his career, and that resilience resonates deeply in a city that prides itself on hard work and perseverance. The speculation paints him as a player who would thrive in that environment, feeding off the crowd's energy and embracing the expectation to dominate. This is not just about protecting a quarterback. It is about restoring confidence across the entire offense. When linemen play with certainty, everyone else benefits, from the running backs hitting holes to receivers having time to develop routes. The rumor suggests that the Steelers see Jenkins as a catalyst, someone who could help unlock the full potential of the offense without needing to touch the ball. That kind of impact is rare and valuable. Fans talk about how his addition could change the narrative around the team, shifting focus from concerns to possibilities. Even as pure speculation, the idea has taken on a life of its own, fueled by hope and a longing for dominance up front. As this first wave of speculation continues to roll, the overarching feeling is one of cautious excitement mixed with trust in the Steelers' long-standing philosophy. The idea of reinforcing the offensive line with a player like Tevin Jenkins feels like a move that honors the past while preparing for the future. It is the kind of rumor that does not fade quickly because it makes sense on too many levels. From cultural fit to on-field impact, the pieces align in a way that feels almost inevitable. Fans dissect every hint, every comment, searching for signs that this could become reality. Even without official confirmation, the narrative has already begun to shape expectations and spark debate. This is the power of a well-timed rumor, especially when it taps into a franchise's core identity. Whether it becomes truth or remains speculation, the conversation itself reveals what the Steelers and their fans truly value. Strength in the trenches, protection for the quarterback, and a relentless approach to the game. In that sense, the rumor has already accomplished something important, reminding everyone what Steelers football is supposed to look like. As the speculation deepens, a second layer of intrigue emerges, focusing on how a player like Tevin Jenkins could reshape the daily rhythm of the Steelers' offense. Insiders whisper that practices themselves could take on a different tone, with increased intensity and accountability in the trenches. Jenkins is rumored to bring an edge that raises standards, forcing everyone around him to match his physicality or risk being left behind. This kind of influence cannot be measured easily, but teams feel it over time. The idea floating around is that his presence would not just plug a gap, but redefine expectations for what offensive line play should look like in Pittsburgh. Coaches supposedly admire his willingness to engage, to fight through discomfort, and to treat every snap as a personal challenge. That mentality spreads quickly, especially in a unit that relies on trust and cohesion. Fans imagine practices where iron sharpens iron, where competition elevates performance. This rumor suggests a ripple effect that goes beyond game day, influencing preparation, mindset, and ultimately execution. It paints Jenkins not just as a protector, but as a cultural driver, someone who embodies the toughness the Steelers want to project every time they step onto the field. There is also talk, purely speculative of course, about how this move could stabilize the offensive identity in a way that has been missing. With Jenkins in the mix, the Steelers could feel more confident committing to a balanced attack, knowing the line has the strength to handle pressure. This rumor hints at an offense that becomes more patient, less rushed, and more deliberate. When protection is reliable, play callers can be creative without fear, and quarterbacks can trust their reads instead of their instincts to escape. Jenkins is often described as a lineman who absorbs chaos and turns it into structure, and that description fuels excitement among fans craving consistency. The speculation suggests that this could be the missing piece that allows the offense to function as intended rather than improvising out of necessity. Even the running game enters the conversation, with whispers that his blocking style could open lanes that were previously closed. It is a vision of football built on control rather than reaction, and that idea resonates deeply in Pittsburgh. The rumor persists because it promises not just improvement, but transformation through fundamentals. Another fascinating angle of this speculation revolves around leadership and legacy. The Steelers have a long tradition of dominant linemen who defined eras through toughness and reliability, and some fans wonder if Jenkins could be the next name in that lineage. The rumor frames him as someone who could grow into a leadership role naturally, not through speeches, but through consistency and effort. Younger players, according to whispers, could benefit immensely from lining up next to someone who treats every rep like it matters. This is the kind of influence that builds continuity over time, something the Steelers value deeply. The idea is not that Jenkins would arrive as a savior, but as a worker, someone who earns respect the hard way. That narrative fits perfectly with the city's identity and the franchise's ethos. Fans imagine years of stability, of knowing that one side of the line is secure. Even as pure conjecture, this storyline feels powerful because it connects present needs with future aspirations. It is not about a single moment, but about building something that lasts. The rumor also sparks debate about how opponents might adjust if this move were to happen. Defensive coordinators, according to speculation, would have to think twice about how they attack the Steelers' protection schemes. Jenkins' reputation as a physical enforcer could change the way pressure is applied, forcing defenses to look elsewhere for weaknesses. This creates a strategic advantage that goes beyond individual matchups. Fans love the idea of the Steelers dictating terms again, making others react rather than setting the pace themselves. The speculation paints a picture of an offense that becomes harder to disrupt, more resilient under pressure. That resilience has been a hallmark of successful Pittsburgh teams in the past, and Jenkins is seen as a potential key to restoring it. Even without official word, analysts discuss how his skill set complements the existing roster, filling gaps that have been exposed. The rumor gains strength because it feels like a chess move rather than a gamble, a calculated attempt to control the board from the center. Emotionally, this speculation taps into a sense of longing among Steelers fans, a desire to see their team dominate physically again. Tevin Jenkins symbolizes that longing, representing a return to battles won in the trenches rather than through flashy moments alone. The rumors suggest a team that embraces hard work and confrontation, values that resonate deeply in Pittsburgh. Fans talk about how his arrival could energize the crowd, turning routine plays into statements of intent. There is something deeply satisfying about watching an offensive line impose its will, and this speculation feeds that imagination. It is not about headlines, but about identity reaffirmed. Jenkins becomes a symbol in this narrative, a reminder that football is still about strength, leverage, and determination. Even if the rumor never materializes, it has already reignited conversations about what the Steelers want to be. That alone gives it staying power. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. As this wave of speculation reaches its current peak, the overall feeling is that of anticipation mixed with trust. The Steelers are known for making moves that align with their values, and this rumored interest in Tevin Jenkins feels like another chapter in that story. Fans and commentators alike sense that if it happens, it will not be for attention, but for substance. The idea of an invincible wall forming in front of the quarterback is too compelling to ignore, and that is why this rumor continues to dominate conversations. It represents hope built on toughness, optimism grounded in fundamentals. Whether it becomes reality or remains a fascinating what if, the speculation has already reminded everyone why the Steelers are who they are. A team that believes football starts up front and that greatness is built one block at a time. The speculation does not slow down, and with every passing conversation, the idea of Tevin Jenkins in black and gold feels more vivid in the minds of the fans. There's a growing sense that this rumor represents more than roster construction, almost like a philosophical checkpoint for the franchise. People close to the discussion suggest that the Steelers want to send a clear internal message that comfort is no longer acceptable, that every inch must be earned through physical dominance. Jenkins fits that narrative perfectly, as a lineman who thrives in contact and treats leverage like an art form. The imagined scenario paints practices filled with louder pads, sharper focus, and an unspoken understanding that the offensive line sets the emotional temperature of the team. This rumor feeds into the belief that protection is not just about preventing pressure, but about asserting control over the game's rhythm. Fans envision a quarterback standing taller in the pocket, trusting that the space around him is secure. The speculation gains power because it aligns with moments from Steelers history when the team was at its most feared. Jenkins becomes a symbol of that memory, a bridge between what once was and what could be again. Another layer of intrigue comes from how quietly this rumor has grown, without flashy leaks or dramatic headlines. That subtlety actually strengthens belief among the fan base, because it feels like classic Steelers behavior. The organization has always preferred calculated moves over loud declarations, and Jenkins fits that mold as a workmanlike presence rather than a marketing figure. The speculation suggests that decision-makers see him as a long-term investment, someone who can absorb pressure year after year without losing edge. There's talk that his versatility along the line adds to his appeal, offering flexibility that coaches crave when building game plans. Fans debate how that adaptability could mask weaknesses elsewhere, creating a more cohesive unit overall. The rumor thrives because it speaks to intelligence as much as toughness, to planning rather than impulse. Jenkins is imagined as a piece that allows the offense to evolve naturally instead of forcing change. Even in uncertainty, the idea feels stable, grounded in logic rather than wishful thinking. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.